And here's a suitable place to warn you against some modern classifications of the I sound when it is followed by other distinct vowel sounds.
Many of them, including the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, treat the second I in immediate and medium as sounding the same as the long E1 of the preceding syllable, which would make it long I3, and they give the same classification to the I in words like Julia or peculiar.
This is indeed peculiar. The much more reliable, shorter Oxford Dictionary,
Which, though called shorter, is in fact about 20 times longer, being short only in comparison with the 20-volume full edition.
classifies the sound as what we term short I1, and this is much nearer the mark, though not ideal.
If you listen carefully, the I in words like Julia, medium, remedial, and peculiar is not exactly the same as short I1. Take the word India, for example. The second I is almost but not quite the same as the first, which has the basic, very short and sharp short I1 sound.
But it is emphatically not what we call the long I3 sound that we hear in words like trio and beer, despite what the Advanced Learners Dictionary and several others say.
I can only wonder what the beginners have to put up with if advanced learners are told such peculiar things.
Anyway, we decided to stick to calling this sound short I1 rather than making another classification, not only because the difference is so very tiny, but also to concentrate our minds on the shortness of the sound at a time when the equivalent short final Y sound is increasingly being mispronounced by being lengthened.
With words like unity and scrutiny, in which the I and the Y should have exactly the same short I1 sound, being made to rhyme with T and knee.
We shall have a lot more to say about that unpleasant epidemic when we get to the letter Y. For the present, just note that it is something to avoid. Say unity and scrutiny, not unity and scrutiny.
And now let's reinforce what we've said about the controversial I sounds with a battery of examples on the basis that seeing and hearing words properly pronounced is the best way to avoid mistakes.
First, some true long I3 examples, the relevant letter being in italics where there is more than one I in a word. Rio, trio, beer, real, Shia, Maria, Sophia.
Ratafia, pizzeria, Tanzania, Nicosia, Fiat.
And we mustn't forget that delicious liqueur, Tia Maria.
And now for some of the much more numerous short I1 sounds that are sometimes mistakenly classified as long I3, the relevant letter again being in italics, where there is more than one I in a word.
Anatolia, Asiatic, Camellia, Bolivia, Namibia, Claudia, India, Julia, Lydia, malaria, media.
Myriad, comedian, tragedian, immediate, commissariat, Miriam, raffia, hemophilia, memorabilia, radiant, radial, ruffian, trivial.
William, Julian, thespian, Damien, artesian, anesthesia, Peruvian, deviant, deviance, cranial, liaison.
Athenian, Hungarian, Armenian, Arabian, Indian.
Mania, insomnia, insomniac, palliative, sepia, Gambia, Zambia, piano, enthusiasm.
Enthusiastic, amiable, pitiable, fiancé, fiancée, ambient, convenient, expedient, gradient, lenient, obedient, sentient, salient.
Leniency, ambience, convenience, expediency, experience, obedience. prescience, sentience, dalliance.
Arpeggio, Antonio, Malvolio, folio, imbroglio, radio, scenario.
Accordion, battalion, carrion, Marion, medallion, rapscallion, stallion, pinion, opinion.
Censorious, curious, devious, furious, glorious, harmonious, injurious, lugubrious, notorious, odious, spurious, uxorious, usurious.
Julius, Polonius, odium, medium, podium, radium, radius, tedium, harmonium, aluminium, titanium, uranium, euphonium, premium, helium.
We are not going to ask you to practice this long list of words, though you can if you wish, but we thought it would be useful for you to hear them being pronounced while seeing them in print, not least because they are good for vocabulary and spelling.
And before we go on to a detailed study of I when followed by other vowels, we'd like you to note something else that you will find in dictionaries that may unnecessarily confuse you.
You will often find the I in some ION word endings represented phonetically by a symbol that looks like a Y or a J instead of the normal symbol used for what we call the short I1 sound.
You'll see this in the phonetic spelling of words like opinion, and particularly after the LL of million, billion, rapscallion, and stallion. But this is misleading in our opinion. The sound is not that of the consonantal Y in words like canyon. It is simply short I1, as we have classified it. To put an exaggerated Y sound in such words is a lazy slurring of what should be distinct syllables. It is not a pleasant sound and should be avoided.
And this brings us nicely to our examination of the juxtaposition of I with the following vowel. Where does the I keep a distinct sound, and where does it combine with a following vowel or vowels to create a merged sound?
A useful guideline is that I seldom retains a distinct sound where it is followed by another vowel and preceded by any of the soft or softened consonants, by which we mean soft C and soft G.
The soft S sounds, as in decision and vision, but not the hard S that sounds like Z, as in artesian or enthusiasm.
SH, as in fashion.
The soft T that makes the SH sound, as in nation.
Soft X and the soft CT combination that sounds like it, as in section.
Among the rare exceptions are ratio and Horatio, which, unlike ration and oration, keep their I and O sounds distinct, despite having the same soft T before the I.
And the SC combination, even when soft, keeps the following I distinct in prescient, omniscient, and science, though not in conscience. Let's look now more carefully at some common word endings, and start rather rudely by examining a large number of Ives combinations, by which I mean syllables in which the combination of unstressed I with any other vowel almost always makes the short I2 sound.
And if non-English students wonder why the observation of Ives combinations could be deemed rude, it is because one of the meanings of the word combinations is a lady's one-piece undergarment.
In the following table, you'll see a number of word endings in which the combination of I with another vowel produces a single merged Ivy sound when preceded by any of the soft or softened consonants in the box on the left.
Acacia, Georgia, Asia, Croatia, facial, social, partial, sociable, negotiable, Grecian, physician, Asian, Martian. Religion. Fashion. Pension. Decision. Vision. Derision. Passion. Fission. Mission. Creation. Nation. Ration. Action. Diction. Fiction. Defection. Infection. Selection. Crucifixion. Gracious. Cautious. Anxious. Religious. Egregious. Ancient. Patient. Patience. Conscience.
In the last syllable of all those words, the I and its following vowel or vowels together make a simple ivy sound. But what happens to the preceding consonant?
It's an interesting question which came first, the chicken or the egg. We've looked at the merged vowel sounds following certain soft consonants, but perhaps we should be asking ourselves if we should regard those merged vowel sound endings as being what makes some of those consonants soft, when they would otherwise be hard.
Like the T in select and selection.
Or changes an existing soft sound to a different one.
Like the C in face and facial. Let's look at such changes in more detail.
C, T and X acquire the SH sound, as in facial, partial, selection and anxious.
S acquires either the SH sound of pension or the soft S3 sound, which is halfway between the SH sound and the sound of J, as in vision.
G has the soft G2 sound, which is the same as J, as in religious.
And T, when preceded by S, can have the sound of soft CH, as in indigestion.
Now listen to the following sounds in turn, and make sure you can distinguish between them.
Partial,
Religion,
vision.
indigestion.
For all of them, you begin with your lips comfortably open and your mouth relaxed. And then you do as follows.
For the SH sound in partial, hold the tip of your tongue just behind but not touching your front teeth.
Then push your lips forward in a cartoon kiss. Raise your tongue so that its sides press against your upper side teeth, and blow air gently between your tongue and the ridge of your palate, and so through your lips.
As we said before, it's the sound you make when you want someone to be quiet. Shh.
Then to follow it, with the ivy sound, you quickly move your tongue so that its tip just touches the gum below your two lower front teeth. Watch and listen. Shh. Partial. Social. Asia. Croatia. Ration. Action. Section. Inquisition.
Now you say those words, noting that although you will sometimes hear Asian pronounced with the same S sound as vision, it is better pronounced with the SH sound.
For the soft G2 sound, you begin as for the SH sound, but this time you press the front of your tongue against the ridge of your palate, with its tip almost, but not quite touching the inside of your upper front teeth. This is the critical difference in mouth shape.
Then you drop your chin and tongue together, and as you do so you produce air from the back of your palate. Watch my lips carefully. J, J, J. And note in this case that the soft G2 sound already has ivy incorporated in it.
Listen to the following examples. J, J, Georgia, Belgium, religion, religious.
Now you make the sound and say those words.
And now let's practice the sounds together. The first of each pair of words having the SH sound, marked 1. The second, the soft G2 sound, marked 2. Listen.
Sh, J, Asian, Georgian, precious, religious.
Now you copy those sounds and words.
For the soft S3 sound of vision or derision, you push your lips forward in the cartoon kiss position and press the sides of your tongue against the edge of your upper side teeth, exactly as for the SH sound. But this time you have the tip of your tongue a bit further back, nearly but not quite touching the ridge of your palate.
You push the air over the front of your tongue, then retract your lips and drop your chin to make the sound, a movement which, as with soft G, automatically includes an ivy sound. But be careful not to let the sound become the Z sound of televise and revise.
Listen carefully to the difference. Television, televise.
Revision, revise.
Now listen to some words whose endings have the soft S3 sound.
Vision, revision, television, collision.
Abrasion, contusion, derision, provision.
Fusion, confusion, infusion, profusion.
Now you say those soft S3 words, all of which you'll have noticed end in S-I-O-N. And now let's practice the first three sounds in turn. Asian, Georgian, vision.
Patient, legion, derision.
Now you say those two trios of words.
For the soft CH1 sound, as in chap, which we practiced in our section on C, your mouth shapes and movements are exactly the same as for soft G2, except that you press your tongue really hard against the ridge of your palate behind your front teeth, as though you were going to pronounce the letter T. Then, when you drop your jaw, you release the air from under the very front of your tongue as it drops down from the front of the roof of your mouth.
Watch and listen now as we say the soft G2 and the soft CH sounds, and then pairs of words as before with each sound in turn. J, ch, legion, indigestion.
J, ch, religion, question.
Now let's practice all four sounds in turn. Listen carefully.
Patient,
Region,
incision.
question.
Now you say those words, and keep practicing them until you are confident that you have captured the sounds correctly.
Although we have taken question as an example of the CH sound of ST when followed by these endings, it can also be pronounced with the distinct I, followed by the ivy sound for the O. Listen to the difference.
Question, question.
The difference is slight, but audible, and both are acceptable.
Other words that can have either pronunciation include combustion, Christian, and the family of congestion, ingestion, suggestion, digestion, and indigestion.
We recommend that you use the CH sound for all of them.
Now you practice saying the following words. And note that a few words do not conform to the usual rules for tion and tian endings. For example, bastion and fustian, which keep a distinct short I1 and a hard preceding T.
As does that splendid adjective rumbustious, which rhymes with industrious.
Remember also that the usual hard sound of T does not change to a soft sound in pitiable, unlike insatiable.
And words like Pelasgian and Varangian also keep a distinct short I1 sound after the soft G2.
As we have seen and heard, the endings ction and xion have the same sound, as in fiction and crucifixion, but crucifixion and flexion are unusual. Most words ending with this sound have ction, although one or two can be spelt either way, particularly connection and connection, and words compounded from the verb flex, principally reflection.
This spelling, however, is rarely seen these days, and except for crucifixion and flexion, it is safer to keep to ction and write, for example, reflection, deflection, etc.
Besides the short E2 ivy sound of patience and patient, the vowel combination IE can have three other merged sounds.
The long I1 sound of lie and flies,
The short I1 sound of worries or lorries,
and the long I3 sound of niece and species.
You will find that the long I1 sound of IE is always in a stressed syllable, and the short I1 is always unstressed.
These sounds are frequently found where IE replaces the long stressed and short unstressed Y endings of nouns and verbs like ally and worry. The Y changes to IE for the plural of the nouns and the third person singular present tense of the verbs. For example, allies and worries, and for the past tense, past participle and adjectival forms, allied and worried.
There are also, of course, one or two monosyllabic verbs and nouns whose basic forms end in IE to begin with, like lie and die, and as they are naturally stressed, they retain the long IE in lies, dies, and died.
Now here are some more examples. The first set of words having the long I1 sound for stressed Y and IE, and the second set having the unstressed short I1 sound. Listen now to the first set.
Cry, cries, cried.
Dry, dries, dried.
Fly, flies, flew.
Fry, fries, fried.
Ally, allies, allied.
Pry, prize, pride.
Spy, spies, spied.
Try, tries, tried.
Reply, replies, replied.
Listen now to the second set, those ending with the unstressed short I sound.
Copy, copies, copied.
Carry, carries, carried.
Marry, marries, married.
Tarry, tarries, tarried.
Parry, parries, parried.
Quarry, quarries, quarried.
Worry, worries, worried.
Curry, curries, curried.
Flurry, flurries, flurried.
Hurry, hurries, hurried.
Pity, pities, pitied.
Query, queries, queried.
Note also the verb inquire, which can also be spelt inquire, which makes inquires for the third person present tense of the verb and inquiries for the plural of the noun. This gives a perfect example of the effect of stress on the IE sound.
Now you practice saying the words you've just heard if you wish, noting that flew is the irregular strong past tense of fly.
The word dry, of course, is also an adjective as well as a verb, and note that its comparative and superlative forms have the distinct vowel sounds drier and driest, the E in drier having the short E2 ivy sound, but that of driest usually having short E3.
Listen again. Drier, driest. Now you say those two words.
The short I1 sound is also found in colloquial abbreviations, usually of names, like Archie for Archibald, Julie for Juliet or Julia, Gertie for Gertrude, Budgie for Budrigar, or Auntie for Aunt.
And Prince Andrew's girlfriend Sarah Ferguson, later his wife and now divorced but still the Duchess of York, was always known as Fergie.
Listen carefully now to this little practice sentence.
Having inquired and received replies to his inquiries, they were too worried to ally themselves to allies allied to that other alliance.
Now you practice this sentence and ensure that you are confident about pronouncing the words correctly.
Note also the two quite different but identical looking verbs to lie, one meaning to lie down, the other to tell lies.
If you have doubts about their different forms, you must look them up in a grammatical textbook. But listen now to two sentences to help you practice the correct uses and pronunciations.
We'll say them one after the other, and then you can practice them together.
His body has lain in that tomb ever since he lay down and died and was laid to rest, lying beside his wife.
Those lying witnesses lied then and lie now, such liars having no conscience about the lies they tell.
Now you practice saying those two sentences and note the spellings. The long I3 merged sound of the IE combination is not very common. It is mainly, but not exclusively, followed by VE, F, CE, or LD.
Or occurs in often scientific words taken direct from Latin, like rabies or species.
Listen to a longer list of examples. Relieve, relief, believe, belief, believer, grieve, grief, griever, retrieve, retrieval, retriever, fief.
Grieg, priest, priestly, priesthood, niece, peace, piecemeal, field, yield, wield, cockatiel, rabies, species.
These words are easy to pronounce, but be careful with those ending in LD.
This ending is impossible to pronounce without a tiny hint of the ivy sound before the L, but keep it very tiny and avoid the common mispronunciation of letting a W sound replace the L in what should be a clean LD sound.
Listen and I'll show you what we mean, first pronouncing the words correctly, then incorrectly. Yield, yield, field, field.
Now you say the above list of words in which the IE combination has the long I3 sound.
And now listen to a sentence in which we have this sound produced by IE and by other combinations of vowels.
The deceased's priest's niece is yielding to disbelief.
Let's hope that having clearly gone to pieces with grief for her uncle, the priest, she soon finds peace of mind and retrieves her belief.
But in the meantime, you repeat the sentence about the deceased priest's niece who is yielding to disbelief.
And for a little light relief, here's a silly little poem about a young milking cow.
Known as a heifer with a silent I.
From the northern English town of Huddersfield in Yorkshire.
A pretty young heifer from Huddersfield, when milked, gave a very poor yield. The reason was at last revealed, she did not like her udders field.
The last word, of course, should be felt, but that wouldn't rhyme.
And finally, listen again to our introductory sentence. Worried, Sir Ian Field tries his religious society's patience.
Now you tell us how that worried knight tries his religious society's patience, and so bring to a close our study of the third vowel of the alphabet, which, interestingly, was only half the length of our studies of the vowels A and E.